The Delaware Standardbred Breeders Fund provides tremendous value for your money, offering over $3 million in sire stakes purses every year. The Delaware program features two $100,000 finals and requires just one starting fee per track that covers all legs and the final. Plus, horses eligible to the Delaware program have an opportunity to earn bonus money racing in nearly 2,000 races over 140 nights at Harrington Raceway and Dover Downs. And the Delaware equine industry contributes more than $180 million annually to the state's economy. Come watch your horse race and enjoy Delaware's famous tax-free shopping. Find out more today by visiting agriculture.delaware.gov/Delaware-Standardbred-Breeders-Fund. Welcome, everyone. I'm Heather Vitale. Thank you so much for joining us for our first 2021 edition of Harness Racing Updates Two's in Training, sponsored by the Delaware Standardbred Breeders Fund. In this sport, we are all looking for that four-legged pot of gold. Well, tonight's guest found that special rainbow who made Team Teague a household name in harness racing. That's right, tonight we are chatting with George Teague. From unforgettable favorites to family to foals in the first state, we've got a lot to cover. So let's get things rolling in this edition of Two's in Training. Hello, everyone. Again, welcome to this first edition of our 2020 Harness Racing Update Two's in Training. I have George Teague with me. And, of course, I am doing this virtual with George. I'm in my home at Harrington, Delaware. And George is legit, only 10 miles away from me. But unfortunately, because of COVID, we have to do this, virtually because we don't want masks on and that type of thing. But, COVID, thankfully, it seemed like 2020, it was just a mess. But there seems like there's, light at the end of the tunnel now.
Yes, I agree.
Now, there's so much to go over tonight, and I'm so excited. And I just have to say that George and I have been friends for about 20 years. And so tonight is going to be more of, I think, a conversation than an interview, because I will tell you that if I ever get arrested, George is on my short list of people to call. Okay. So we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. I'm really excited about that. But to kick things off, why don't we just go over some of your accolades, okay? So we're going to go over George Teague. We've got him United States Trainer of the Year, United States Owner of the Year, two-time Good Guy of the Year, Director on the Delaware Standardbred Owners Association, and of course the Proximity Award that Team Teague won recently. Now, the other thing that I did not mention on these is that, do you remember in 2004, you were voted the coach of the year in Delaware? I mean, it was unbelievable. And I was there. We're going to have a lot of I was there, because George and I are buddies. So there's going to be I was there.
We had a lot of time together.
How cool was that?
It was a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun years. A lot of fun years. Yeah,
it has been. It has been. And that 2004, when you were voted coach of the year, you beat out every football coach, every baseball coach, basketball coach in Delaware. You were voted coach of the year. I've always kind of felt when we have this sport, the coach is the trainer, you've got the driver as the quarterback, but you need a team, right? Yeah. So
without a doubt.
that's where
Been lucky that way.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about that team a little bit. Team Teague.
Brenda and I started just helping each other, even though we got separate stables. And Clyde, he came along probably a little over 20 years ago, and without Clyde, man, it would been a way, way tougher ride. He's definitely a harder worker than me. Thank heavens for that. And he just never quits. The guy works all day and half the night and never complain. And him and I have been together that many years and very rarely crossed two words. So, no, it's been a great relationship. Like I said, without him, I don't think it would be no George. So, a lot of praise to Clyde. Brenda and I kind of developed what we developed with young horses, and it's been a pretty good ride for her and I. And she trains as well as I do, and Clyde. So, it's been a great combination. Now I just lend Brenda a hand when she needs it, but she does her own thing. So, but it's a great team. There's a lot of people that's been through the barn throughout the years. That's definitely added to the success, and been lucky that way.
Yeah, let me tell you, Clyde, I can't say enough great things about him. He needs to be cloned. I mean, if there were more Clyde Francises in the world,
I'll take one.
it would be right. I mean, like, it would be a better place. Like,
Oh, I
I
agree.
love Clyde. Yes, yes. And we're going to talk about, and you know what? Let's also mention the fact that it isn't obviously just Brenda and Clyde. It is your entire family. We're talking about
Yeah,
wives. We're talking about
Miss
daughters,
Joy.
grandkids.
Yes, two girls. Yes, and then the grandkids are coming along, and they kind of have a little bit of fun with it. So no, it's fun to see the family involved. Like everybody's always convinced their family not trying to get into it, and I'm always trying to convince my family to get into it because the game's been good to me. And myself, I always tell everybody, man, I'll be a little guy at Walmart putting happy stickers on somebody's cart when they walk through the door saying, "Welcome to Walmart." If it wasn't for horses, so it ain't the worst thing to do. It ain't the worst game in town. So I'm always encouraging people to get in instead of staying out of it.
Oh my goodness. That's like my major takeaway from this already. I love that. I am so with you on that. Yes, I love this sport. And, I've got a kid that works in the barn every day, Wyatt, and he's 19
Yes.
and he loves it. So this is a great sport. And I do believe that it has a future. So I'm with you. I was at your barn the other day and there are like kids everywhere, like, and everybody's got a pitchfork in their hand. They're putting harnesses on. It is a great scene. It really is a
It's like your
team,
stable.
and love it, right? Love it, love it. Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
That's one thing about racing, man. You go to a lot of barns, you'll see a lot of that, man. A lot of kid involved, husband and wives, and sometimes you have Brenda and I, sister and brothers, but you know, um, yeah, it is a family deal here. Most time you come here, you'll see a lot of family. Tommy's like a brother to me, and so it ain't like everybody has not been involved with me for a long time that I don't appreciate. Connie, Joy, Tommy, the list goes on and on. But they've been a big asset to be around and have the same dedication to the horses.
And that's one of the things. I mean, like, you learned under your parents. So let's talk about that a little bit because you're actually from Virginia. And so we see, like, here, a great picture. I think, I know, so good, right? So talk about your mom and your dad a little bit and what did they teach you?
Well, first thing I'm gonna say, I ain't aged much, and neither has Brenda. Man, that's pretty cool. Um, you know what? My father passed away when I was about 15 or 16, and I mean, and that's the way we were. A lot of kids was raised up going to daycare. Our daycare was pretty simple. That's my twin brother there. Brenda's showing her belly when she was young. No, but a lot of kids go to daycare. But our daycare was in a barn. It wasn't no such thing as daycare. You kind of raised up in the barn, and that's the way it was. My brother, he went on to finish high school. I couldn't wait to get out. I quit about 15 and a half, man. I was just out timing the truant officer. So, so I couldn't wait to get out, and I never went back. But, the barn was my schooling. The barn was my daycare. The barn was everything to me. And my grandkids, not as much as but, I do like to have them around and show them the ropes. It might be an alternative that some might want to take up. And if they choose to do something else, well, beyond them. But at least they would have an outlet. And you got to like horses first. And they do like horses.
Well, also, we're seeing a picture. By the way, love that picture of Brenda with that half shirt on. That is like epic right there, right?
Yes, I
But
agree.
someday we're going to get her to relive that in another winner's circle. It's so funny. And so she's going to kill me for that too. But the picture we're looking at now, so you used to drive, and this is, thank you, Brandywine Raceway, their Facebook page, because I took it from there. I love this
Oh,
picture.
okay.
Obviously, like, there's no reason for you to drive anymore because you got Montreal, right? But how did you
Yeah,
like
exactly.
driving? Yeah, and why did you stop?
You know what? I did pretty good when I first started. I went like my first 5 out of 6. I done very well, and I don't know. I was always been a blocky man. I'm at 180 pounds, and you know, you're built like a football player. You're not built like a driver. Ain't no use putting yourself out there too much. You know, you're gonna slow them down instead of carrying them along. They're gonna carry you along. So it wasn't my forte. I kind of knew real early on that, you know, you built like me. You should be sitting near a cart, not alone sitting in it. So, no, I liked it. You know, I train a lot. You know, what I mean, that's my thing, and I enjoy that. But I never really enjoyed driving that much, believe it or not. Even though I'd done very well when I first started, I never really liked it. It's kind of
Well,
like
you don't
most
have to
people
worry
get
about it
into it.
now
I
anyway, right?
respect that, but yeah, just my thing. It was never my thing.
Right, right. Well, yes, your thing is training. And actually, I love going to your barn and just looking at that $1 million row that you have up. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna like rattle through some names right now because obviously I've got 3 big horses that I want to talk about. So on this wall we got Total Truth, Western Ace, Southwind Links, Badlands Nitro, Somewhere Over a Rainbow, I Feel Like a Fool, Mr. Wiggles. I mean, like, there's so many great names on this wall. And, I've known you for so many years. And, like, you have come so long, or as we can say, like, you've come a long way, baby, right? You've come a long way. I remember being in your barn and I remember celebrating Starter Hanover when he won the Governor's Cup at the Delaware State Fair,
Yeah,
which is awesome
one of my
because,
all-time
like,
favorites right today.
me too. Yes. And,
Yeah,
that's
ultra tough.
hometown bragging rights,
Yeah,
right? Starter Hanover.
yeah, oh yeah.
And so then I walk in the barn nowadays and I see that $1 million row. So when you look at that, like, what are your thoughts?
Well, you know what? I always had a theory too, man. I'm looking for tomorrow. I'm not looking past in the past too long. I like looking at memories to a certain extent. But I'm gonna tell you where I'm going. I ain't gonna tell you where I've been. That's always been my philosophy. So I take great pride in it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's why I kind of played up there. A lot of my favorite horses are there, and there's a few more that didn't even make it to the wall. That was, that Lather Up. The wall was there before he came up, and he's not on there. But a few. So that's saying a whole lot, like you said, from where we come from. I mean, Harrington, Delaware, where everybody starts with $1,000 claimers, including myself. So as much as anything else, I'm very proud of it. Very proud of the horses I've had, and I mean, it's always good to reminisce and think back where, you know what, it was a very very fun ride for a long time.
Well, one horse that didn't make $1 million, and she was super close. Isabella,
It's-
can you see her? Oh my God, love her so much. Loved her so much that, and here's a fun fact for you: when I was pregnant with my second child, I was going to name my child Isabella after
It was a
her.
boy.
It was
No
a boy.
stuff.
So
Ooh, man, that wouldn't
that
have
didn't
worked
work.
out good. A
No.
boy named Sue?
And
No, it wouldn't be a boy named.
I'm not having any more either. I'm not having any more. That's when you know that you are a harness racing princess, when you want to name your kids after horses, right?
Yeah, usually
But
vice
anyway,
versa. Want to name horses after our kids, but you want to go vice versa. Want a kid named after the horse.
yeah, we have a horse coming up later, actually, that I know is named after one of your grandsons. So definitely, we're going to
Okay.
talk about that. Um, a lot of those horses that we just talked about, I don't think any one of them cost more than $50,000 as a yearling. So, what's your advice? Because now you do homebreds, but when you were going to the sales, like, what's your advice for someone if they want to find that diamond in the rough?
I always thought you got to make it profitable, and what better way to make it profitable? You got to keep it to a cost where you can see a little light at the end of the tunnel because you're going to incur a lot of expense with buying yearlings. So you try to keep it in a range where you can actually make a few dollars doing it. Go out and buy a horse for 100. You got 150 into him before June rolls around, and then when June rolls around, you look at the end of the year in December, and there's only a small fraction of them made 100,000. You're like, you're 50 still in the hole. So it's easy to get them kind of horses, but it's awful, awful tough. You know what I mean? To get to the status of today to make it like that. But I've had a little luck with it, just shopping where I can make a little bit of a profit. That was the reason for looking like I did.
I mean, do we have any specifics? Like, are we looking for something that stands a certain way or breeding a certain way?
You
Before
know
you
what,
know
man?
it,
I
the
go into
yearling
it with
sales are going to be here and they're going to say, I listened to Heather Vitale when she was interviewing George Teague and he said this.
well, I was looking at the TV because I had one that race. But anyway, I always go to the sale with one intention: look at things I can live with better than I absolutely had to have. You know what I mean? I always see the people at the sale, man, the one that looked like he raced last week, big, beautiful, robust horse. And the week later you put him in a dusty stall and let the dust roll up on him. He looked like any other horse, but there's a lot of tricks to the sale that you got to try to look past. I mean, because you'll get locked into the beauty of the horse and you'll forget everything else. I do believe a great horse has got to look like a horse also. Very rarely you see this, a horse looks like a donkey and comes out to be a great horse. So, it's just a balance, and what you'd be looking for. I always look for the balanced pedigree and appearance, and not as much as where it was affordable is not looking for the hottest stallion. Look more on the marriage pedigree more than the stallion's pedigree, the stallion at his time, because I've had a luck with Ponderosas when he was kind of like played out. I've had a luck with Dragon Agains when they wasn't a fan favorite of everybody. I try to look that way and just match them up with marriage. So, but again, I always looked at things I could live with. I mean, if one didn't stand 100% correct, I waited into my evaluation whether I was going to buy them or not, and said, well, Mosey ain't too bad. I could put up with it. But if you're going to spend 100, you want them to stand a little better than the one I bought for 20.
All
So
right, all right.
that's the difference.
With that being said, we're going to take a look at a little diamond in the rough, and that might be rainbow blue. You got for 10,500 at a sale. Of course, a 2004 United States and Canadian Horse of the Year. She had 30 wins out of 32 starts. 1.4 million in earnings. She had a mark of 149 and 2. And actually, right now, we're just going to check out that stretch of the 2004 Breeders' Crown.
And soon may be coming 3 lanes wide to the head of the stretch. Then it's Apple Crisp, and out of it early was Antidepressant. Rainbow Blue into the head of the stretch, and what a match this is going to be. In Vitro was on her back, is now 3 lengths back. Here comes LD's Val with stretch pace, 124 and 3, 29 and 2 in the third, and Pierce is just keeping this pacing filly machine going. Rainbow Blue left her rivals very blue again. She's the Breeders' Crown champion. Over in Vitro, LD's Val and glowing reports in 151, tying the Breeders' Crown record authoritatively. Rainbow Blue.
Oh my goodness. I love her so much. So, when I am working on this interview, of course, I'm looking for a race of Rainbow Blue. So then I don't look at one, I end up looking at least 12 because it's like potato chips. You cannot have just one, right? I mean, you get addicted. YouTube's like posting all of these Rainbow Blue races. And I was like, oh my gosh, Rainbow Blue. I miss her. I miss her so much. When you look at her, what do you feel? What do you think?
I'm still smiling. I don't look at the replays much, but when I see races like that, there, it still just brings me back to what 16, 17 years ago. She was that good. I mean, she really, truly was. Big, massive, beautiful horse that really carried herself with. I always say the great ones have a presence about her, and she's a true example of that. Just a different horse in so many different ways. Just her presence were, I don't know, she was just something different from other horses. Right to this day, she had her own different way, but she was definitely the horse that you see on a 30 for 32. It took a if she had stayed sound, I don't know, she could have done some wonderful things 17, 18 years ago. And she did do some wonderful things, but I would love to see her stay the course for a couple of years. That would have been a fun ride.
For me too. Yeah. And a lot of people. Yeah. 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 But I mean, as it goes, I mean, while she had her career, I mean, it was amazing to take that ride. I mean, I love her. I love watching her race still on YouTube. And so when you saw her at the yearling sale, like, what caught your eye?
You know what? I got lucky. I had two Art Escapes, and it was early in the Art Escapes stallion career. And I like both of them, but they were small. Both of them were real tiny, and they hit their knee. But very, very, very willing horses to go. So I went back looking particularly for Art Escapes. And she was in the New Jersey sale, and not usually a high-end sale. And I don't know, very big. If you've seen her, she was very, very big mare. She's built like stud horses ain't as big as she was, but just a very, very well proportioned mare. But in some people's eyes, she was way too big. And then she was crossed up funny. She had a 2x3 to on the road again. So a lot of people was worried about that. She might be crazy. I think they were. And that kind of knocked her for a price, but I think a pedigree was all right, but it wasn't over the top. You really had to look two or three down to see something that was really caught your eye. I think Largo was in the family and had a couple there, but nothing that really popped out of the paper at you that made you think, wow. Her siblings went on to do all right after she, I think she had a brother that done very well that made a little money. But yeah, she was that. She was all that.
When I watch those races also, I miss Ron Pierce.
Oh yeah.
I know that you guys,
yeah.
You guys had a good relationship, right?
Yeah, we did. Yep, he fit her like a glove too. So Ronnie was special, but Ronnie fit a lot of horses well. So.
Oh, he did. And I probably should have asked this before the interview because I feel like this is a story that I've heard, and I've actually taken this advice and I've used it with people's names and horses' names. I feel like there's a story that when she started her 3-year-old career and he was qualifying her at the Meadowlands and he got off the bike and he said to you, do you know the story I'm talking about?
Oh, I do know the story very well.
Okay, good. Tell it.
It's funny because Ron, you see, Luke had drove her whole career, and Luke had a flight in Canada. He got stuck there because of the fog, and he was down the driver in freeholding in Molly Pritchard, and it was going to be the last race of the year. Maybe she had one more after that in the Merlin Fun Race. So he drives, and I don't even really know Ronnie that well. Then really don't know him at all. So I go, he kind of looks at me like I'm funny. I don't think he's ever seen me before, and I really didn't know him. But Doc Seaver told me, he said, look, when he drives for you, make sure as soon as he gets off the bike, ask him about the horse thing because he will never remember the horse. So he drove the horse. She went in 56. It wasn't no world record time. He come back, man, she's a nice mare. Nothing over the top that got him excited. But so then when I went back, Luke had stayed in Canada, and I put Ronnie to qualify her. So he qualified, and I told him, I said, dude, I've had a couple good horses in my time. I said, none like this. So he looked at me like I got two heads, like, who the hell is this guy? So I said, believe me, she's a great one. So he goes on and qualifies. He come in, he said, I forgot what he first said. He said, but you're right. She is something special. I said, what's her name? Still didn't remember her name. I said, Rainbow Blue. He said it about 3 or 4 times. He said, I don't think I'm ever going to remember her. I don't think I'm ever going to forget her name. So that was kind of funny because I'm trying to think about what Seaver said. Like, whatever you say, talk to him after he gets done because he ain't got no memory if he walks away. So he said her names 3 times, and the rest was history. Because, like I said, he fit her like a glove. He knew her. He fit her like a glove. And, Jimmy Moran drove her a little bit, throughout her career. He done a very good job. It was only a couple people that filled in, and I'm trying to think of who other than Luke driving was the 2, and Jimmy drove in the Merlin Sire Stakes, Merlin Fun Races. Pretty much Ronnie drove her most of her career. So, but he was funny, man, because he'd get off, and he said it 3 times like he was clicking his heels or something.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny because I remember that story. And like now, when I'll meet someone, I'll think in my head, okay, yes, John Smith, John Smith, John Smith. You know, and I'm like, I totally picked that up from that story. So I love that. I love that. Thank you. All right. So now we are gonna move forward. We're gonna do the Wiggle It, Jiggle It. All right.
Oh
So
yeah.
we'll check his stats out a little bit. Of course, the 2015 United States Horse of the Year. Oh my gosh. I mean, 3.9 million, 147 and 2. I mean, you can see his record right there. It just always breathtaking. And of course, I think the most breathtaking race of all time possibly would be that Little Brown Jug in 2015. So what we'll do is we'll check out the stretch of that.
Quarters, 1, 21 and 1, 27 seconds, and they're still going at it. Lost for words, Wiggle It, Jiggle It. The battle of the fittest around the turn. Lost for words, has the lead and starts to open up. Wiggle It, Jiggle It on the outside second. Can anybody catch him from the back? Coming home, lost for words, Wiggle It, Jiggle It. Coming home, lost for words, Wiggle It, Jiggle It, a final surge! 149, 3/5.
I think he got there.
So what goes through your head when you watch that?
You know what, man? The rise I've taken with horses like that is unbelievable. But none no funner than him. He's just when you sit there and have a Rainbow Blue, and then you have a Wiggle It, Jiggle It, and who you got to pinch yourself every once in a while. And I filled it in pretty good with a few other ones that did very well, but none like this horse here, man. You know, man, he could ride up at any time. I don't care if it's at the 8 pole. If he was on his game, if he stared you in the eye, your ass was in trouble because he was going by. And ain't too many times he didn't make his presence felt. You know, if he had a target, he was his best. And if he was 100% on his game, and it took a mighty nice horse to get to him, or he could come from last. You're talking about versatile. The horse of every aspect. You put him on a racetrack, I don't care where he was, you had him to beat. You know, they just don't make him like him every day. Just unbelievable talent, speed, and the fortitude to get to the wire before anybody in that race there. Like, you know, you just don't see it every day like that. Fun.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, so much fun. Again, I feel like I was on a ride with you with that horse as well. I mean, I loved him. And one of the things about that race in particular, I mean, we've known each other for so long. I was at Montrell's graduation party. I mean, I've been at birthday parties at your house. Like we've hung out together. And like I've watched Montrell like grow. I saw him at Harness Horse Youth Foundation camp. You know, like I watched him grow up. When I after that race, I was so proud of him. I mean, like I can't tell you, like I was like it was unbelievable. And I'm going to tell you another little story. Um, the night before Jug, of course, is a big party night, right? Okay, everybody goes to Jug. Jug at night. It is the party night of the year. So I'm out. I'm actually hanging out with everybody from your crew, right? And I'm like, where's Montrell? It's like 10 o'clock. They're like, he's sleeping. He's home. He's back at the camper. He's like, and I'm like, what? And he is such a great guy. He's such a good kid, you know?
I couldn't be more proud of him.
I mean, like, that is like dedication right there. I mean, he wanted to win that race so badly, and he knew that he needed to be sharp. And I know you need power, but Montrell was also on his game that day.
He kind of talked me into going to it because it was a $65,000 buy-in because of the supplement, and I wasn't big on that one at all. You know what I mean? You go to the half, you draw bad, blah blah blah. I knew he was the horse that could win it, dog. I've seen that race a ton of times, man, and not always the best horse win it. You know, that day is kind of a special day in racing to me because it takes a different kind of horse to win that race for 2 heats. And he kept saying to me, if I win the Meadowlands Pace, man, you got to supplement it to him. So it was a promise from me to him, And I kind of felt good about it because I knew, he could go on any size track. When he went to Harrington, he went in 49 flat by 20 lengths, and he was just in the grip still finishing. Track size didn't matter with him at all, and I knew, how he was even training. He never got tired. He could take a lot of air, and he just didn't have to bring his certain trip to win. It kind of gave me a little bit of insurance that the big money I was putting up, I think it may have been 45,000 to supplement him that, that it was worthy of doing. But no, he really was adamant that he wanted to go to the Little Brown Jug. So it was a good choice.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And, overall, this horse was really such a blessing for the sport. I mean, like, well, take a look. He had T-shirts, right? There were so many, like, meet and greets. Like, the horse danced in the winner's circle. He was just, I mean, overall, had such a huge fan following.
Yeah, he does. And you know what the best part about it is now? Out of my bedroom window, in the field right across from my track, my backyard, two horses I see. It means a lot to me. It's Western Ace and It Jiggle It. They're in the field together with my granddaughter's riding horse and two little miniature ponies. And he absolutely is the most happiest horse in the field you ever want to see. So, he hopefully he lives his life out here, and if he's lucky, he'll probably outlive me. And but he is a horse that deserves his spot in history in more ways than one. But he is a fun horse, very fun horse.
And I mean, I know I've been talking about him for a while now, but everybody just stick with me because this was really, really important, I think, to myself and to you and to Delaware. Do you remember when we went to Legislative Hall?
Oh, yeah.
Again,
Oh, yeah.
like, I constantly, like, we went here, we went there, but it's true. Like, I mean, we've been friends for 20 years. So, like, so we went to Legislative Hall. So we're in the Senate chambers, watching the Little Brown Jug. Like, they requested that for the senators to watch the Little Brown Jug in the chambers. Yeah. How cool. I'm sitting next to Montrell. I'm like, is this real life?
No, you know what? Even with Rainbow Blue, she had a Rainbow Blue day up at Dover Downs back, years ago, and that was a fun day. Governor then, Ruth Ann Minner, chose to give her a plaque for her day, and to fast forward it to It Jiggle It, going to the chamber to, it's been absolutely, you couldn't be more happy or more proud of the situation that, being from a small state to have such, a couple good horses and really on the label of being great. I don't know what people call great, but if they're not the status of great in harness racing, I don't know what is. But in a little small state, and then subject a little bit, and 15 minutes down the street from us, you got Jimmy King with Chardonnay. So, in Delaware, man, we definitely have a presence. You got Jimmy King on one end of Harrington. I'm on the other end of Harrington. And what is the chances of a stretch of road 15 miles long, 2 Horse of the Years? So that's pretty impressive from a little small town of a little small state. But the state appreciates this racing, too. The state appreciates racing. And that is Delaware standardbred. They do a good job in the state. The governor, he supports us. The lieutenant governor supports us, and the relationship we built with the state, man, has been tremendous. But again, we've been blessed to have a good program in Delaware that's allowed us to afford a way of living that got us to the point where, again, from one stretch of Harrington, it ain't very long, you got a matter of 3 horses that have been Horse of the Year within the last 20 years. So kudos to Delaware. Kudos to Harrington.
Yeah, I do want to talk about that just for just one more minute. It is true. We are so blessed because I know that there are other states out there that their legislators don't realize what an economic impact it is, that harness racing is an agricultural business, and our legislators realize it. You had Governor Carney and Lieutenant Governor Hall at your farm jogging It Jiggle It with Montrell. I mean, they know how important harness racing is, to the economy. So,
but you know what, though?
We are.
Small state, they work hard at it. Sal, Andy, Rebecca on the DSOA and the board members. Also, you also got, Judy, and we got a good relationship with the agriculture program there. So we're lucky, but they work hard at it. They work hard to stay familiar of our standards in the state, and it does take a lot of work. I wish, other people would peep into what Delaware does to have a good relationship with the government to make the programs work into their favor, because it is a good program in Delaware.
Yes, it is. It is. It is. So, I do want to find out though. Can we get an update on Wiggle It Jiggle It? He didn't go into official retirement in 2016 because he came back in 2019, but his last race was what, August of last year. So, like, what's happening now with him?
You know what? I think I'm just going to pull the plug. I don't like the retirement part of it, so I'm kind of quiet about that part. But I don't plan on racing him again.
Okay. Okay. So his deal is he's out with, his
He's living life, man.
BFF,
He's out with
Western
Western
Ace.
Ace. I look at him every morning, every afternoon in my backyard when it's daylight. He's happier than you know what, and I'm happy that he's happy.
So we got Wiggle It, who's won 3.9 million, and Western Ace, who's won 1.9 million. I mean,
Yes.
what a pair!
Where
They got
did
a
the
lot of
time and the
stories
money
to
go,
tell.
though? All I ask is, where is the time and the money? Both of them gone. So,
That's easy. That just happens. I get it. I get it.
I
So
agree.
funny.
I agree.
All right. All right. Okay. So we will move on now to Lather Up. So let's take a look at some of his stats right now. So we've got, he's retired. Of course, he's standing in Ohio, but he made 1.7 million. Of course, took that mark of 146, which equaled the fastest mile ever. And we're going to take a look at that stretch now from the Meadowlands.
3/4 on the inside. This is the plan now, is wedged in with Jimmy Freight stride for stride and looking for room. Done well on the inside, fifth, and they turn for home. 3/4, 1:19.1 into the stretch. Always a Prince looking to take them all the way, but it's Lather Up on the outside. Lather Up, the perfect trip, trying to pay off. George Teague going to work. Lather Up on the inside. Always a Prince, can't go with him. And then this is the plan. It is Lather Up, a perfect trip paid off in the graduate final, and Lather Up is home in 1:46, equaling the all-time fastest mile in harness racing history.
So, George, sometimes there is this buzz going around that people are going to do this world record and it's going to be broken, but I never heard any buzz going into this race. So when you watch it, what are your thoughts?
Well, you might think I'm being cocky, but I would tell Gary in Montreal, and I would occasionally tell Clyde, this horse here could be a regular 46 pacer if he travels a straight path. If he didn't grab it, and Montreal knew it. Undoubtedly the fastest horse I've ever saw behind. He could pace 8th in 12 seconds. I'm not lying to you. Thoroughbred speed. But my fat ass driver trained it. I'm telling you, the horse could absolutely go airborne. Nothing like I never had before, and right till this day, ain't many can pace with him. If you ever had the straight path of going and didn't have a couple, it was minor issues. I don't know how fast this horse would have went. I'm not gonna lie to you. He was again very versatile, man. He could, one night to Ohio, was in the Sire Stakes, and he got parked and he saw the track record. Parked every step of the way. Montreal tapped him with the whip, tapped him, just laid the whip over his back. He cleared around the last turn. He put in a little bit of a step and still set a new track record. Unbelievable speed and endurance. But again, he's just absolutely the fastest horse. And I'm a little biased, that in some ways, if you matched him up in some parts of his miles when he sprinted, he could really turn it on, and it was extremely fast. And the best thing about him, and I hope I see a few of his foals, because on his mother's side, Gary done a wonderful job of breeding him, because it wasn't no grand circuit status, but they were ultimately consistent with $200,000-$300,000 winners, and I was familiar with the family, and even his brother Barber Pole. I always said up until a point that horse could go the farthest I've ever had a horse go as fast as he could go, Barber Pole, which is a brother to Lather Up, but then he had a little bit of a problem, and he was a favorite in the Max Hemp, and he come up sick, and he never rebound from that. But another one could just turn up, and I'm saying, with this horse's pedigree, because I'm lucky, I had the father Brady. I am bragging a little bit, but you know what I mean. I did think that much of him. I'm gorgeous too. You know what I mean. We didn't mention him, but another fast horse, another story behind him with a little brown jug. He finished second in the final, winning his elimination. On the way back home, he got double pneumonia from the little brown jug because my truck had broke down. He wound up in New Bolton Center with double pneumonia. He raced again afterward. Again, it just messed up his career. So you know, his stories behind a lot of them. But his father was a very impressive horse also. So he done it for a reason, and I do believe if he gets an opportunity, he will transform some foals into some real speedy horses. So I hope he just get a chance.
Well, you were talking about Lather Up and like, you know, talking about things that happened with him and I'm gorgeous. And so like with Lather Up though, you know, like, first of all, there was a whole mix up, right? With like the
Oh yeah,
semen, wasn't there? Yeah. So
yeah.
you gotta tell that story.
Well, you know, Gary is a Harrington guy also, and I was training horses for him, and then I had a couple going to studs, and he picked out Del Marvelous that he wanted to breed to because he liked the Badlands blood. And again, I thought we agreed on gorgeous. So it was a mix up, but hey, look, when things get mixed up sometime, man, they work out for your favor. So, you know, I mean, I want to leave it like it is because he did want to lather up, but no, it was a mix up. You know, kind of got our wires crossed, but hey, look, got lucky and it worked out.
And I had read that Lather Up also, you know, he had like a difficult birth, and then like
Oh,
after
he
like,
did.
you know, during his 2-year-old season, he almost
Yeah, man.
died. Like, tell me
Yes.
about that.
You know, when he was born, it was lucky. Brenda was in the barn, and Kevin Switzer, and the vet, Dr. Midnit that we use that's Kevin Switzer's her husband, and Brenda's in there, and nobody's around. It's like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and we got 2 foaling stalls in the barn, 17, 18 foot long, but 12 foot wide. And she's in there, and Kevin said something ain't right. He run his arm up in her, and he kept Brenda moving. He said, Brenda, just keep walking, keep walking. And then in the process, called Dr. McNitt. But Kevin, thanks to Kevin, he was there, recognized it was a major issue, and he corrected it. He corrected it. So, so it's good to have friends. It's also good to have the veterinarian's husband around has delivered a couple of foals in the middle of the day, and it turned out to be Lather Up. So you know, it just a little mix up. Then he raced. He won like 4 out of his 6 races as a 2-year-old in Ohio. So he come up sick, and one of them I treated him with some Naxel, and somehow or another I think it was something a little toxic with the Naxel, and it caused him to have to go to New Bolton Center, and it canceled out his 2-year-old year, because he was fighting for his life. I mean, he really was that sick. We come in that morning, we always check temperature. He noticed he wasn't right at 6 o'clock. I forgot who was taking care of him. It might have been Pootie, and right away got him on a truck up to New Bolton Center. Right away, it was within minutes, because Dr. McNitt, again, she lives right around the corner. She examined him and said, "No, go," and put him on the trail and went up here and saved his life. He was up there for 4 or 5 days. So he's had his adversities, man, and overcome everything there was. So some things are meant to be, I guess.
That's right. And you did mention, so he is in Ohio standing. So he started last year. Then that means that his babies are on the ground this year.
But they'll be
And
born. They should be popping out any time now.
yes, because you know, I have a direct hotline with your foaling manager, Tom Kugel. So I will say that we do know of one Lather Up baby.
Yes.
Here's my exclusive, right? That has been born. I think the dam might be Cookie Money. I think that's her name, right? Yeah.
Wilson,
So
man.
that's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. I mean, I'm hoping the other bunch come out, and this year's kind of a little small to start with. You know, the mare kind of throws small foals. I'm just hoping that, you know, but she also threw Demir. I think he made like 325,000. One of my favorites. He's by Mr. Wiggles. So you know, I mean, I do like the mare. The foals are kind of a little bit small. So there's a few more in the belly around here. So I'm hoping that, you know, he has a little bit more size the next one. That's all I'm hoping for. Because I know the family, you know, the family has big size So I think he'll be fine. But I love him as a stallion. Could not brag on a horse any more than I could him.
Awesome, awesome. No, I'm excited too. So, and of course, I'll be in touch with Tommy. I've spent the night at Tommy's house watching foaling, TVs going on. Like there's hundreds, like on the phone. I'm at your barn watching him happen. So it's all good stuff. This is a very exciting time of year. Lots of babies being born. So now we're gonna do a breakdown of numbers. All right. So we're gonna start with how many race horses you have. And then out of those, if you can give me, how many 2-year-olds you have out of the racehorses?
Well, I got about 22-year-olds, approximately 22. And racehorses, probably about another 15, 12 to 15. I'm no good at counting. I'm not going to lie to you. You know what I mean? I just never been big on that. And I'm guessing 22 2-year-olds. And the rest are 3, 4, 5. You know what I mean? And that's about it.
So
but
then,
Brenda's that you'll see that you saw the other day. Brenda's got a few. I don't count hers. Altogether, we got probably about 30.
Okay. All right. So because you also have your stallions in Delaware. So then how many stallions do you have in Delaware?
Del Marvelous, Badlands Nitro, Southwind Lynx, Barbara Pole, Mr. Wiggles.
All right, so I got 5?
6. And Brenda stands Kodak Lindy.
Okay. All right. So we got 6. Okay. And then you got a bunch of brood mares.
Got a few brood mares.
Yeah. A few.
You want me to count them too? Tell you I'm not good at counting.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Don't make me count the brood mares, please. That's painful enough, trust me.
So what we're gonna do is, all right. So obviously now, you're concentrating on your homebreds, and you're also concentrating on mainly the Ohio and the Delaware circuit. So let's talk about that, like the programs, because the programs are a little bit different. We've got different starting dates for Ohio and for Delaware. So how do you work that whole system?
Watch this. See that pat on the back? Tommy and I and our establishment are the ones that bred and bred It Jiggleit and Lather Up. So I'm real proud of that, much as anything else. Not to be cocky again, but no, I love the Delaware program. I really do, and that's what I like. I like being home, and that's what I support the most, and that's what I want to support. And look, if I stumble across one of them horses that I've had before, I hope I'm smart enough to recognize it again. So I'll travel. I'll do my bit if it comes up, if I get lucky enough to have that happen again. But in return, I'm not always expecting it. The ones I do think Lather Up make a little bit of a national. I think he's got a shot to be a real good stallion, just not any stallion. I do believe in the horse. Breeding is tough. The competition for mares is the toughest part. He's going to have to battle. But if he can have a good year, start off 2 or 3 years from now, I do believe in the horse. His ability is second to none. And Mr. Wiggles, I think he's going to be a big asset to Delaware. He's got a decent resume. Southwind Lynx has done well. Del Marvelous has done well here in the short time they've been here. Badlands Nitro had one. But just horses that that mean the world to me. They're not going anywhere, so I just breed them. They're my horses. I own a couple with John Kelly and one with Kevin Fry, and But and Gary with Lather Up and Tailor Made. But I've been fortunate enough to have horses that could actually have stallion potential. But you got to halfway have the support, and if you're not heavily syndicated, they're not going to make national headline too much.
So I know it's February. It's still very early. We haven't really been turning any horses too fast or anything like that. But I do want to go over a couple of the horses. We've picked 4 out now. Okay, so we're going to start with the 2-year-olds. So let me grab my list over here. So I'm sorry, we're going to start with the Ohio ones. My bad. Let's start with Destiny Has a Future. Okay, that's an Ohio bred here. It's a Mr. Wiggles filly out of Future Destiny. Now, this is her 8th foal, and it is her 2nd Mr. Wiggles. Now, I remember watching Future Destiny race, and she actually made like $250,000.
Yeah, a real nice mare. I like this filly here because she seemed to be talented enough. I mean, for the program in Ohio, I think she's made for the smaller track. Her mother was real good on the smaller track, so I kind of like her all right. This stage of it, it's kind of early, and really hadn't, brushed them a little bit halves and quarters, but haven't really turned up the speed for a whole mile. So, so far she seems to be fine.
All right. So we're going to go along to another Ohio bred, and it's also another Mr. Wiggles. And we've got What About David? Now, What About David actually is named for one of your grandsons, I believe, right?
Oh yeah, his name is my oldest grandson, David. You'll see him in the paddock at Dover. He likes it. And now, mind you, I don't name him. And this was my granddaughter, and I think him that named quite a few of these 2-year-olds, because they come up with some names that I'm like, what the heck does that mean? You know what I mean? So they kind of named him, and I'm kind of thinking David kind of named him for himself. So, but the mare, I love her. The mare is scooting down the river, and she's a sister to Del Marvelous. She took a mark like 53 or 52 or 53, something like that, made about 70, 80,000. It wasn't a great mare, but I love her as a brood mare, and I just hope she gets a little bit of a chance, and I think she will produce.
And now with these Ohio horses, we're gonna go to Delaware here in a second with 2 of them. But so your Ohio ones, you do have to start a little earlier than the Delaware ones, right? Because the Delaware is a little further down the line.
Yes, and the Ohio, you want to be ready to go in June, July, and the clock's kind of creeping up on me, but you still got a few months to get them ready. I think I'm fine with that because, as long as the weather don't stay like this very long, I'll be all right. But and the ones in Delaware, I really ain't no hurry with them because they don't even start until September, which I love that. It gives you a little bit more time to mature. So I hope it balances out. I hope I can race a couple of these guys in July and August and September. I think the finals are over with, and I can put them away and start up on the Delaware thing. And that's part of the game plan I got, to try to have a little bit of a separate stable where I can go gun ho, and hopefully, out of 20, maybe 2 or 3 will make it. So I hope I have a better vision than that. You a little better. Yeah, I hope it's more than 2 or 3, but no, between I do like the way the Colts and fillies look. It's been a couple of years. I'm like, damn, don't take offense to this. I'm like, man, these things will be on the Amish pretty quick, man. And you know what? I wasn't wrong. I didn't like them from the start, and I'm like, ooh, man, I'm gonna see these things on Hartley a lot. And so this year looks a little bit better than the couple of years we had in a row. So we'll see what turns up.
I'm a good luck charm. So just doing this interview is gonna bring you good fortune.
But I'm gonna take you to the word. I've heard different on that one. You sure? I've seen a couple of guys run away from your camera, like little fat guys doing a 100-yard dash in about 4.3. So I don't know.
I like a man who can run faster than me. I'm just saying.
Well, you can make a little fat guy run a 4.3. You're doing something.
We're good though. We're good. I'm not a jinx. So we got that. Okay. We got that covered. I do want to cover 2 more Delaware horses real fast. So we've got that trotter that we mentioned earlier, Tua, that you mentioned that was Brenda's, and it's a Kodiak Lindy. Yeah,
I love the way he trots, man. He looks identical to his father. And his father was a nice local trotter, but put together well, got good action. I do like him. He's very smart, man. Travels good. He's got nice length, and just got real good motion for a trotter just starting off, man. He just carries himself well, very athletic, and I hope Brenda has a little bit of luck with him, but I do like him.
And the last 2-year-old that we're going to cover, another Delaware one, is Hero Knockout. And the dam she's a knockout. Well, it's a Southwind Lynx. I do want to mention that. But she's a knockout, was actually a DSBF champion herself, the dam.
Yes. Mm-hmm. She was very good. I mean, and You never know it, but that's me sitting in the jock car. But that's Cole here, man. Very gifted in his gait. You know what I mean? Very, very smart. I like everything about him, man. Right from the day one, I helped Brendan break him. He's been nothing but professional. I just love the way he carries himself. And his mother had a good turn of speed. You know, for Delaware, she was fine. And these horses, you know, them two should fit well in this program. Like I said, again, it is a great program. Just, you know, it is a small program. And I think they will do all right if they can hold it together and make it till September.
All right. Yeah, we love our Delaware program. Like you said, close to home. You know, it's great racing here. Delaware is just, I get teased all the time that I'm from Delaware. And I'm like, you have no idea how awesome this state is. It's so
Not a bad
incredible.
place to be.
So, no, it is not. All right. So now, our part, I'm not going to ask you any more questions, believe it or not, at least not on air.
My answers
Okay.
are too long.
My
answers are too long.
No, it's just that we're having a conversation. It's hard. This is a hard interview for me. It's like, you know, we're just talking. So I've known you for so long and we're buds and we're like just hanging out. But now I have viewer questions.
I can always do my Al impersonation, so I'll be quiet. I'll do my Al.
Yes. They don't know what that is, so that'll be for another interview. So now we've got viewer questions, and again, I just want to thank the Delaware Standardbred Breeders Fund for sponsoring this evening. Now, okay, here's your question. What was your greatest training achievement and why? By that, I mean not the biggest race you won or the greatest horse you've trained, but the greatest satisfaction you felt molding a horse into a champion or overcoming a problem a horse had or achieving something with a horse that you didn't think was possible to achieve.
That's a good question. 20 plus years ago, we talked about him earlier, a horse named Starter Hanover. It still would always go down and be one of my favorites. He made about $500,000. He was like a $2,700 yearling. He went through like 3 knee operations, survived them, and always came back to be like an open pacer. Just absolutely ultimate tough, man. Another one that you could pull to the outside. If he's looking at you at the quarter, at the 3/4, he was in trouble because most of the time he was going by. I just admire them kind of horses. So he would definitely run in that category. A lot of people wouldn't even know what I'm talking about when it comes to him, but he was just the epitome of a standardbred, just ultimate stuff.
You know what? If anybody out there is watching that wants to go on YouTube, if they put in Starter Hanover, I've got lots of starter stuff on my YouTube channel. Love him. Yeah. No, what a great horse. What a great horse. Okay. We'll go to the next question. We have, I think, a couple more viewer questions. So we've got, if you could stage a race between most of your great horses when each of them were at their absolute best, who do you think would win between It Jiggle It, Lather Up, Total Truth, Rainbow Blue, and South Wind Lynx, and why?
Wow, that's a tough question. You know what? I've always said if Rainbow Blue got to the front, she'll let you get to a wheel. She won't let you get no closer. If she spotted him out of the gate, if she got by him, I don't think either one of them could get past her.
Whoa, we got a little girl power in that
horses,
question.
Yeah. If she got to the front, man, I don't think either one that you mentioned could probably she wouldn't let him get past her. That was different. That was a difference about her. A lot of horses I've ever had. She just was, and she would sit there without going fully out, and you couldn't get to a wheel. So I mean, back in the day, if you move it up to today's time, I don't think they could get past her.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh my gosh. Just when I didn't think I could love you more than I do. I love that answer because you know how I feel about Rainbow Blue. Oh my gosh. All right. We've got one more. Okay. Now this is a 3-part one here. We're going to test your memory, George. So who was the guy who tried to bench press the weight George had at his barn in Harrington? How much was that weight, right? And who was the vet that couldn't help him get it off his chest?
Oh my God.
There's a story behind this.
Yeah, oh my God. So I used to work out a lot. And I had weights down the barn when I was younger. and my mother was living. So this has been a long time ago. So Dr. Hannabutt and James Jennings, he was helping Dr. Hannabutt as Hannabutt's assistant. So they come to the barn, and James saw this weight on the bench. James a little bit stocky. So me and my friend Joe Watkinson, and Joey was bigger than I was. We used to go down the lift. I don't know, it was probably about 280 on the bench. And the funniest thing, James got under. Hannabutt, he weighs about 130 pounds maybe. He's probably bigger now than he was then. He must have weighed about 115 pounds. So James got the weight off, and he couldn't get it up. He couldn't get it off of him. Then Hannabutt couldn't get it off. And then my mother came along and had to help him get it off. My mother.
Oh my God. So your mom saved
Oh, that
the
story
day.
never gets old, Heather. It never gets old.
I just got in my ear that I actually have some Facebook questions. So we got a couple more questions, and then I'll let you go. Okay, so this is from Debbie. Okay, when you started in the business, could you ever have imagined having a horse of the year, let alone two?
Not to be cocky, but yes, I you know what? Certain things, and I told somebody the story the other day, and it was a friend of mine. I had something unfortunate happen to me with another horse. A guy kind of screwed me big time. And he suddenly told me, he said, man, I've seen people train horses, but I've never seen anybody connect to horses like you do. Man, I was so mad what happened to me. I about lost my mind. He said, dude, just handle a little better. He said, you'll make more than one. And that was probably about 25, 30 years ago. And he was right. You know what? He was right. So, no, I pictured it. I mean, I always thought I was pretty good at what I've done. I know if I put the hard work in, had the opportunity, you know what I mean? You got to give yourself opportunity. And the opportunity showed, and I made good on it. So we worked hard. Brenda works harder than I do right today. Give her nothing but the highest praise. And Clyde. So I got lucky to have supporting staff, and Joy's been there for the last umpteen years also. Then along come Montreal. He loves the game. He works hard at it every day. And like we started at the beginning of the program, is good to see it when your family can be involved in something that you like so well. So
Yeah. It's a dream plus do, type of recipe. You know what I mean? You got to have the dream, but you have to have the do. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So,
but I've been
absolutely.
lucky along the way too. A lot of things fell in place that from years spottily that Custard the Dragon, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. We've had a slew of ones that trickle in, and it made the game a lot of fun. Kept me in it, and it was really a lot of good horses along the way for the last 20 years.
Yeah. Well, they say luck is hard work meeting opportunity. So, you make your own luck. So, yeah, no, it's all good.
Thank you.
All good. And I'm glad I've been there for the ride too. Yeah.
Oh, you have? Yes, you have.
Yes, I have. All right. That's our next question. All right. Can you, say it again? I'm sorry. I need someone to read. I can't get my screen. I can't get it off the screen. Okay, here we go. I'm sorry, George. I was having technical difficulties.
Oh, no problem.
George, if you have been George, I'm sorry. You've been such an inspiration to me right from the first time I met you at the O'Brien Awards when Rainbow Blue won. And then from there, we became friends and you sold me Total Rhythm. You have always been a great friend and always been there for me. I look forward to seeing you again in person. Thank you for being such a great horseman and such an ambassador to the sport. Love you, Ariana.
You know what? I got lucky, man. We went up for the O'Brien's Awards, and this beautiful lady, she was a skater. And I think she did some professional Olympic skating. Not a nicer person I've met in this business. And we clicked, man. I forgot the situation. They serve cocktails before the party, and that's always a bad deal. But she was absolutely a very, very sweet person. And every once in a while, we'll chat on Facebook or something. But in the meantime, I brought Total Truth's brother, and that's who Total Rhythm was. And he just didn't turn out for us in a partner, so I wound up selling it to her, and she had a lot of fun with him, and she enjoyed the horse. But a beautiful lady with just a nice person. Love meeting people like that. That's one good thing about good horses, man. You do meet a lot of good people on the way. She's definitely one of them.
Yeah, No, absolutely, absolutely. So that's a great thing about the business as a whole, isn't it? All right, so we're going to go to the next question. Who came up with Brenda is All Right? I love that name.
Brenda's always right. So Brenda, well,
always
that's
right.
It's true. Brenda's always right, but she named one the year before. George is always right, because I always had a saying when I had a big stable. I always tell people, "When you think I'm wrong, I'm still always right." So anyway, I had the final say. You're working for my ass, so you might not like it, but I'm always right. So anyway, Brenda named one. George is always right. So in return, I named one. Brenda's always right. So that's where the name come up from.
Well, I know in your barn you do have that sign that says "My barn, my rules." So
my rules,
exactly. That's right. That's right. All right. Last Facebook question: can you name the next filly? Oh, you get beautiful, Heather. Who? What? Who said that?
Oh my goodness, that is a great name, Heather. I like
beautiful
that.
Heather.
Oh, that's a good name. I'm telling you, I got to use that one. I like that.
Nice. I like that.
How?
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, yeah, I've got an in with those grandkids of yours, so I'll definitely talk to them. I'll talk to them myself as well.
You got to see them in the paddock and tell Lakaya. She'll love that.
Yeah. Maybe we should wait because Mr. Wiggles this year is standing the first year in Delaware, right?
Or yes.
Okay. So maybe I think more appropriately, like it would be like Wiggle It Heather might be a more appropriate name.
Heather. Oh, Heather, you come up with some good names. I'm telling you. I hope these kids they can help me out along the way. We get a lot of use out of it, Heather.
Oh my gosh. So thank you, George. I know this has been I've taken up like half of your evening. I'm looking at the clock now, but I've loved this conversation we've had. It's been so much fun going down memory lane, talking about the 2-year-olds. I appreciate your time.
You brought a smile to my face too, because I don't look at a lot of. I'm gonna start pulling them up on YouTube myself, man. Because looking at Rainbow Blue and looking at the Little Brown Jug and looking at Lather Up, and man, I tell you that brought a smile to my face. So it's been a good night. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So one more thing before we go, I do want to tell everybody that actually next Wednesday, Jack Darling is going to be on the HRU Twos in Training with Jamie. So that's going to be really great. And we've got some, if you guys are not subscribing to HRU, you do, George, right? You've got an HRU subscription. It comes in on your email. It is free. It is like an incredible newsletter. So make sure that you subscribe, everybody, because it is free. And there's so much coming up. Debbie Little on Friday, I believe, has a whole thing about the African-American participation. And I think she interviewed you as well, right? So that's going to be a really... do you have a lot? Yeah. So we definitely...
I always got a lot to say. I got a lot to say on that one. I'm an expert with that one. So, I'm a good one.
Yes, we love that. I know. I see a lot that you say on Facebook, so we know that you have a lot to say, which is good.
Not always good, no, but it's good for me. Not always good for everybody.
It's good to have an opinion. But so everybody make sure you tune in next Wednesday when we have Jack Darling on. And then, of course, subscribe to HRU. We have a great newsletter coming up on Friday. So thanks for tuning in. It's been a fun night. Thank you so much, George. I have loved this so much.
Thank you, Heather. See you guys.
Good night, everybody. The Delaware Standardbred Breeders Fund provides tremendous value for your money, offering over $3 million in sire stakes purses every year. The Delaware program features 2 $100,000 finals and requires just one starting fee per track that covers all legs and the final. Plus, horses eligible to the Delaware program have an opportunity to earn bonus money racing in nearly 2,000 races over 140 nights at Harrington Raceway and Dover Downs. And the Delaware equine industry contributes more than $180 million annually to the state's economy. Come watch your horse race and enjoy Delaware's famous tax-free shopping. Find out more today by visiting agriculture.delaware.gov/Delaware-standardbred-breeders-fund.
Harness Racing Update is the sport's most comprehensive and timely news source. HRU covers the sport from all angles with news, features, photography, opinion, and analysis of racing. Also, HRU covers breeding and sales, as well as industry stories you need to know. It's all delivered by a deep, diverse, and talented team of writers and photographers. And the best news is that it's free to subscribe. Subscribe to HRU today for free at harnessracingupdate.com and see what everyone is talking about.